Welcome in, everybody, to TYT Sports. We have talked about the double standard between Lamar Jackson and many other quarterbacks in his class. And now we broach the subject of Baker Mayfield with the Montreal Alouettes' scout, Russ Landy, here on the program. So, Russ, before we get your take on the entire matter, let me set the scene here. Kimberly Jones of NFL.com talked to many executives, and here was her reporting. I asked the head coach for his biggest overall takeaway via Baker Mayfield. He spotted Mayfield, saying he liked him the most on the field and the least off of it. Another head coach whose team interviewed Mayfield rolled his eyes and described the quarterback cocky, over the top cocky. Then, contrarian, wise at least, said a third man, I love his fire. Speaking of the emotion that Baker Mayfield displays, he spoke with ESPN's Josina Anderson, so take a look at that, and then Russ and I will discuss.
Combine presser, you said if anyone's going to turn around the Cleveland Browns, it's going to be you. So how would you impact them off the bat?
My personality, what I bring to the table every day. You can ask any of my teammates or coaches at Oklahoma. My energy and passion I bring, it's every day. It's not just on game days. It's at the 5 o'clock workouts when nobody wants to be there. It's in the summer when it's been a long grind. So it's just infectious, and I think I see that. And the most important thing is winning, and that's the one thing I know how to do.
You also said it's not cockiness, it's confidence. So how would you handle NFL players who would want to humble you, though, in a physical game?
Somebody from Georgia already tried to tell me to humble myself, so I don't know. It's just, I get it. I'm not going to go in there and run in my mouth. There's a difference in that. All those guys believe in themselves. That's why they got to that point.
So, Russ, as you're hearing Baker Mayfield there speak with ESPN, many executives have also weighed in as well on the comps that they see. From the eye, everyone goes with Johnny Manziel, though it seems like it is far off. Some have said Chase Daniel. Others have said Colt McCoy. Some have said Russell Wilson. And then, of course, the last two said Johnny Manziel. So with all of that being said, what do you see in Baker Mayfield? And is there a problem with his non-arrogance, but more so confidence in the way that he plays?
No, to me, there isn't. When I really look at this kid, I have no concern. If you look at the NFL, every quarterback has a little bit of narcissism in them. You can't get to be an NFL quarterback and a winner in the NFL without being extraordinarily confident and bordering on cocky. You have to lead men in the most violent game in the world. So I don't think many teams really are worried about that. What they want to know is, when it's away from football, inside the building at Oklahoma, what's he like? Is he respected by his teammates? Is he a guy they look to as a true leader? Will they follow this guy and do what he says on the field in key situations? I think a lot of what you're hearing out there is people sort of prognosticating about what they don't know. You got to get inside. You got to talk to NFL people. Everybody I've spoken to says the people at Oklahoma speak highly of this kid. I think they're overblowing the comparison to Manziel. I don't see it at all, both personally and on the field. I don't see much comparison.
There are a lot of comps that we have seen from those executives, and I get it. However, there are other comps as well that have come in years past. Some like a Robert Griffin III, others like a Cam Newton, who sparked this same sort of backlash. Yet we never even associate a guy like Tom Brady, who clearly yells at his teammates over and over again, as being not necessarily cocky, but as you said, every quarterback, not every, but most quarterbacks have to have a little bit of a diva attitude. And also on top of that, have to be an asshole, because it's just the egotistical nature of not only sports, but also playing the toughest position in their entire sport. So when are we going to, and you know this more than I do, but when are we going to get to the point where scouts and GMs and executives aren't going to associate a quarterback with being cocky and boisterous and outlandish, and more so it just coming with the territory of being a starting quarterback?
I think the good ones already do. I think if you look around the NFL, most teams really try to figure out which men can lead, which of these 21, 22-year-old men that coming into the NFL from a major college program is going to be able to handle the rigors of leading men. But it's hard. I mean, if you just look at some of the guys who have been sort of moderately successful, like a Jay Cutler, but are not really guys that are outwardly aggressive leaders and sometimes don't really show the great positive emotional traits on the field, those are things that would concern me more than a guy that's a little too emotional like a Baker Mayfield or even a Cam Newton. I want that passion. I want a guy who's going to do everything competitively possible to win every single snap of a game.
And you're looking right now, minimum 15 attempts for the highest single season passer rating in FBS history. Not once, but twice has Baker Mayfield done so? The other comps that we have seen with him via some executives and myself is Russell Wilson from the executives, Robert Griffin III, who is sitting fourth on that list, who of course went to Baylor. Let me try to make this out as well. I believe this is graphic 12. Has a slight size deficiency, could have some durability issues if he is hit often enough, anticipates plays so well, and is able to react to a point where he should be able to avoid big hits even at the highest level. He truly had one strong season in college, playing in a talented Big 12 conference, winning the Heisman. You know who that draft scouting report is?
Sounds a lot like Robert Griffin III.
It is Robert Griffin III, and it applies to Baker Mayfield, correct?
I think it does, but there's a little different. This kid's much more of a pocket passer than Robert was. And I like Robert. I thought he was going to be a fantastic NFL quarterback. Clearly, that has not turned out to be. But I think when you look at Baker, I think he's a little bit more of a traditional quarterback in terms of setting up and getting rid of the ball fast in the pocket. And I just don't see the style of play. I liken him a little bit. No people talk about Russell Wilson, but I think there's a little bit of Drew Brees in this kid. When he's doing it quick and setting up fast, there's a lot of similarities. The ball comes out like a dart thrower. He's a very confident kid. And if you look at Brees has a little bit of that swagger to him. It sort of gets overlooked because of what a great guy he is. But there is a little bit of cockiness to him at times. So I think there's some similarities when you watch those guys play.
I agree with many of the points that you made. Just to make the comparison to Drew Brees, it's like, whoa, hang on a second.
I hear you. It's an odd comparison.
It is a very odd comparison. There's a few more that I have for you. When will we also get to the point from a media and managerial / executive / scout perspective of saying, okay, so he grabbed his crotch against Kansas. That happened one time. He didn't go and pull a Joe Mixon. He didn't go and pull any other incidents that other college collegiates have. It was one incident. Yes, he had the off the field incident where he ran away from the cops in a drunken haze where he got tackled and was also reprimanded for it by Oklahoma. But when are we going to get to the point where it wasn't anything super serious? It was grabbing the crotch and being drunk as a collegiate student and overlooking that to not write the narrative of being immature.
Well, I think there has to be sort of a separation in it. The media is always going to write the narrative. That's not going to change. In terms of well-run organizations, they're not really concerned about did he grab his crotch or not. What they're going to do is when they see that, they're going to ask their scout, hey, have you done the homework on this kid? Is there anything in the background that we should be concerned with? And if that scout comes back and says, nope, I spoke with everybody, I've talked to everybody going back to high school, this is a great kid, the team doesn't worry about it at that point. They're not worried about what the media is writing about them if they believe that their organization has done the necessary homework. So I think that's more maybe on the media side than it is the team sort of labeling a kid a character problem.
Russ Landy, we appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.
You got it, my man. As always, just reach out.